Care of here. All right. You ready?
John, you good?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to have an opportunity to come catch up with everybody today and talk a little bit about the game this weekend. Biggest emphasis for us, more than anything else, is making sure that we can help and make the experience for our fans the best it can be. One of the things we learned in that first game was Thursday games are challenging. We knew they were going to be with classes and everything else, and there's a lot of things we learned from it. But one of the things that was very apparent was the parking and traffic needed to be making sure that we do our part, and we hope to convince our fans that if our focus is truly to make sure that we put an emphasis on the experience, the game experience, it truly starts and ends with traffic and parking. And so we urge our fans. Parking lots open at 3 p.m., but again, that's officially. They get there a little bit earlier, they can be better. But we ask our fans to come early. Help us make this experience the best it's going to be. We're expecting a large crowd, larger than we've had before, and more than anything else, if on a Friday afternoon, we know the class schedules are very light here on a Friday afternoon, but if the earlier they can get here, the better the opportunity will be. Also want to make sure that everyone understands it will be Hispanic Heritage game. So you'll see a lot of activities outside and inside the venue that will be celebrating Hispanic heritage. So we're excited to continue to highlight that. And I will pause there, make sure that I hit on the couple things. Biggest key for me more than anything else is making sure you can help us get the message out to come early. It's important. Let's make this a great experience for everybody. And we'll do our part working with the campus police and everybody in all the units with traffic to make sure that traffic is what we expect it to be. I'll pause there. And
Eddie, right now, do you have early numbers of where you guys are tickets or what you're expecting?
Yeah, I would anticipate to be right now we're probably anywhere between 25 and 30, and that's not even considering our students. So we should have and tickets continue to go out the door right now, which is great. There's tickets available, so everyone needs to understand that. If you're interested in buying tickets, come on out. We've got tickets available, and we're going to do what we've done. We're going to make sure that we maximize and get our students in the venue because that energy they bring is impactful to our student athletes, and so we're going to do what we've done since at least I've been here is to make sure that we can push as many students in that venue as possible.
Eddie, what did you think of the student section turnout in week one against SFA?
Yeah, unbelievable. When I remember last year, a couple of the games, one of the emphasis that I kept saying, how do we push more students? How do we push more students in this? And we had 6,800. I think last year was one of the highest ever, and I was proud of that. But I also knew we can do more. And to see that we had 8,500 or whatever it was this last game, it's a testament to the students. I appreciate them more than ever to come on out. This is for them. They make that venue what it can be. And so we need them this weekend. We need them there Friday night. Excuse me. We need them there Friday night. This will be a very loud environment, and they're going to be the ones leading the charge.
Some of the anything in particular you want to highlight as far as the things on the outside? I'm assuming have you been introduced to the Pumas, the mariachi group?
Yes, they'll be here.
Great.
Yes, they'll be here. They'll be here playing at halftime as well. There'll be several things. We will send all that to you. So I don't want to make sure we want to get it all right. So we have it all. We met this morning with our whole team, and marketing's got a great plan in place, and we're going to move some things around with the kids zone, make it more impactful for them. But again, come early. Come early. We want if you want to come out and tailgate, we'll find a way to get you out there to tailgate. We want to grow this tailgating community. We want to grow the environment, and so we urge everybody to come enjoy the day, and let's come out of here with a great win. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
up the questions.
Eddie must have answered them all. Good job, Eddie. Excellent.
Start with Ryan over there.
Coach Corey Platt got back in a game for the first
Yeah.
time in 2 years. What do you think about seeing him and then the sack he made late in the game?
Oh, it's huge. I'm so happy for Corey. Obviously, he played for me before, and it was hard when he had that first injury, and the second one was even tougher. And he just maintained a very positive attitude and kept working and working and working. And it's just really neat that he's out there playing. He's very talented. Can run sideline to sideline. He's got great instincts, loves football. And you got to love football to go through what he did and be able to get back out there and play Power 4 football. So I'm just really, really happy for him.
Willie, wanted to ask about Khalil. Is it Laufau?
LeFou.
LeFou. Just what he's brought in terms of particularly on the run, against the run, and just sort of how he's fit so far since he got here.
Yeah, he got really good movement. You get a guy that's 295 pounds and moves like he does and anticipates things going on. You can play big boy football and stay at the point of attack and two gap stuff, primary gap, secondary gap, but he also can slant and angle and and loop and do all the different things you do in the pass rush with games. And he really enjoys football. We talked about Corey. He loves football. Khalil loves football. And those are fun guys to coach. And they're both really smart guys. It's like I've mentioned many times before to you, this game's getting more and more complicated by the day, and you got to have sharp dudes. And kind of interesting, we had a few boosters that were on our last trip, and they sat in on all the meetings. And these are three highly successful businessmen, and they were shocked at how complex the game of football is. And that's Khalil's really a sharp guy.
Coach, can you talk about the start to this season and the momentum going into this big week here?
Well, I'm not one of those people who believe in momentum. I think each game's its own season, and you can't dwell on past successes or past failures, or you're going to not be as good as you can be. So I tell them all the time. At the beginning of this week, I told them this game counts one. And last week counted one, the week before counted one. So you need to put everything into it. And I guess we'll be a quarter of the way done with the season. It happens fast, and you got to put everything into it that you possibly can. And is my math right? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. But so that's what we really try to focus on. Obviously we know it's a Big 12, opener for us and for Colorado. But we just want to continue to improve, get better, and play the very best we possibly can.
Coach, Colorado, they deployed all three of their quarterbacks in their room. How do you prepare for a team when you don't really know who's going to be out there?
Well, you look at the plays that were called, and just a little bit I've been watching, and you're right, they played all three guys this past game against Delaware. I think it's kind of similar with what they're running. They've got an offense. Now, maybe one guy will do a little bit something different than the other, but it's an offense that they run, and they've got a NFL offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator. I think he's the head coach someplace, wasn't he, Coach Schumer? Right? Isn't that right? But they do a great job of mixing run and pass and doing a whole lot of different things. I'm sure we'll see different stuff, that he feels like can take advantage of us.
Willie, now that you have a two-game, a little bit of more sampling, what can you take from the first quarter offense, just getting things going early in the game?
Yeah, that's one of the things we've talked about. We put together a script, and we run that script, and we rep that script, and we shouldn't goof that script up because my big deal I tell our coaches when we come in on Thursday, And this is a little different week because it's a short week. But we want to be able to rep the same stuff Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. All right, and so that's the script, that's the whole game plan, that's everything. Offense, defense, kicking game. And the only changes we'll make is getting rid of stuff that we didn't do a good job of on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So, we should be assignment sound, and there's always things in the first quarter where they do things a little bit different, than you possibly anticipated. So there's corrections there as well, and we need to have a faster start. There's no question about that.
With transfer portal additions like Will James being able to come in and make an instant impact, what does that say to your staff and your recruiting department?
Well, I think they do a fantastic job. The big things we're wanting to do is find guys that can play, big-time winning Power 4 football. That's a big deal for us. And then number two, guys that fit in to our culture. So we had time to really analyze, I guess, everybody as far as their playing ability and also if they're going to fit in coming in here. And you're right, Will has come in and really been impressive. Loves football. That's one of the things that I tell our coaches all the time. If we're recruiting somebody and they don't love foot, they tell you they like football, you better not take them because you got to put too much into this if they just like it. But he loves football, loves to practice, loves everything about the sport. And then something about him, too, is he loves playing in the kicking game. He had a great game, Saturday night in the kicking game as well. And sometimes you don't get that. Sometimes guys are partial players. They only play offense, defense. They can't also play in the kicking game.
Willie, can you assess what you've seen on the edge guys, Brandon, Eddie, those guys, in terms of how they've been able to get to the quarterback?
Yeah, I think Coach Ross does a great job with, I guess we'll call them the edges now. We always got to have a different name. All these years I've been a head coach, I've never had the edges, but we got the edges now, so that's good. But he does a great job with those guys. And Eddie, I think, has got, superior movement, great length. Got enough mass where he can two-gap stuff as well. LaTravion and B-Mac, we were kind of rolling those guys every other series, and both of them have got good size. LaTravion's up to about 245, B-Mac's about 250, and the thing that's great about those guys is they can drop, they can kind of play a wraparound linebacker, they can rush, they can hold up at the point of attack if they're an inside edge guy, whether it's a 7 or a 4-eye, and all those guys I talked about are really smart. They don't make busts. That's a big reason why guys play. If you're wrong about every fifth play, it's hard to play you. And those guys do a great job of being assignment sound.
Coach Latrell McCutcheon, he kind of hasn't really seen any targets go his way. How are you kind of preparing him going down the stretch for getting ready to see those challenges?
Well, we do it in practice all the time, but I thought Latrell had it. He's one of our players of the week. I thought he had an outstanding game. Great tackling game. One time he came out of the box, and it was a big-time football play. It was one of those plays. Sometimes you don't notice a guy on the far side of the field playing. I was on the sideline. I started seeing him come, and he pulled the trigger, and I was like, wow. That is a big-time play. It was a loss of 5. It was in the fourth quarter on a speed sweep play to their boundary. But he had a great game, really played well and did a good job with his eyes. And, this is going to be, back to a regular game this week with they're a 50-50 team, run pass. And, last week was a 90-10 team, run to pass. So this will be back to getting some targets out there on the perimeter at the corners.
Will you have any Coach Sanders interactions or stories?
I don't. I've met him a couple times at meetings. He would never remember it, but decades ago, I had a kid that was playing for the Falcons, and they were playing the Oilers. You remember that team that used to play here in town? And kid's name, he played for me at Caulfield Community College, and Darnell Walker, and I went to the hotel to see him, and Coach Sanders, happened to be there, and Darnell took me over and introduced me, and he's a very nice guy. But I don't know him very well, but been very impressed with what he's done. Coaching, he did an unreal job at Jackson State, and obviously he's doing a fantastic job at Colorado.
Tomorrow night, you enter sort of a new world with the availability reports are going to start coming out.
Yeah.
Just any thoughts on that, instituting that this year? And
Well, I think it kind of tells you what's going on in this day and age in athletics, and with and I kind of understand why we're doing it. And one of the things I do is try to really talk to our guys about the gambling. Unfortunately, that's now becoming a part of college athletics big time, and guys have got to be really smart with interactions. And I think the same thing. I think being open about it is better, and you might not have as many people digging around. So that's just I never thought a few years ago I'd ever be doing this, but it's what we're doing.
it's a matter on social media. Fans can get that direct message, and they try to talk to players.
Yeah, I've had it happen to me before where people have contacted, why'd you do this in a game and all this other kind of stuff, and I don't talk to them anymore because I figured out, God dang, I think they're asking for another reason. So I just try to keep our guys educated. We've talked to them 3 or 4 times in the summer about it. I think we're having a person come in here next week, I believe, and talk to the guys. But you just got to keep them educated. Some people, not most people, but some people have ulterior motives.
Is there any update to the extent of Demarion Burnett's injury?
Yeah, we're hoping he's going to be able to go this week. I'm going to talk to the trainer, and we'll find out. But hopefully he's going to be able to go. I'll get some feedback. It's always we have a staff meeting every day, 4:00, and that's kind of where I get, the exact details of the health of our squad.
Coach, how big of a chain mover has Tanner been early on in the season? Just what does it mean to kind of have a security blanket in those situations?
It's a good word. I said that one time to Connor Wigman. That's his security blanket out there. He's he's got a great catch radius. Someone invented that phrase here a few years ago, but I think he does a great job. I know I've talked about it before. He's got great length, and he extends his hands towards the ball, and a ball that you might think is poorly thrown, and he can make it a good catch. So I was glad to see us. Luke McCary, I think, had 3 catches on Saturday. He's we're really blessed. We got some really good tight ends, but yeah, Tanner certainly is. I think a top tight end in the country.
Up that second half versus Rice, is there a sense that Connor is becoming more comfortable in commanding the offense?
Yeah, I talked about this last week. He hadn't played for a while either. He's banged up last season from his previous school, and then he's learning a whole new offense. And now there's also one of the things we talked about it yesterday, is how can we prepare guys better, and how can we be better on the sideline? How can we be better press box, player communication? How can we be better with tagging things and calling things so that we can simplify it for the offense and simplify it for the defense. So there's a lot of moving parts, but there are more moving parts for the quarterback. I mean, think about it. You got somebody in your ear talking to you, and you're walking up there, and you got to know the down and distance, the field zone, the score of the game, how much time's left on the clock, and then you got to figure out, if it's a run play, who we're calling it off of. If it's a pass play, which side we're gonna swipe. As far as our progression read, and then that all changes if they shift, and so there's a lot of moving parts that he's got to think of, and I think he's really done a good job. But like I always say, quarterback gets too much credit when things go well, and too much criticism when things don't go well. There's a few times early in the ball game where we didn't get open. We didn't protect as well as we needed to. And then we wouldn't have been in those situations if we would have blocked a few run plays properly. So that's what we look at.
Coach, what have you seen out of Colorado's receiving room on tape?
They got some new guys in there. Obviously, they lost Heisman Trophy winners. So I guess he must have been a pretty good player if he won the Heisman Trophy, huh? But they've got tall, long, fast guys, very talented out on the perimeter. They caught a couple deep balls last week, do a good job of getting the ball to their backs. They got a tight end that we looked at, a Division II kid who came out of the portal, went in the portal, and they got two that is a very good receiver, had a bunch of catches at the Division II level. So, yeah, they're very talented out on the perimeter.
Well, there were back-to-back games that the defenses had. Can you sense a vibe with them in terms of how well they played the first two games?
Yeah, I think Coach Armstrong and the defensive staff have done a phenomenal job getting our guys prepared for the games. Last week was completely different than what they saw week one. I mean, a lot different. And, so they've done a great job of getting them prepared. But, we got really smart guys over there, and we do a lot of stuff. We're not sitting in one front, one cover, and run a couple blitzes. We're doing a lot of things, and a lot of calls come in late because we're wanting to see how they line up. You have an idea based on personnel grouping, but I think and once again, we tackled well. That was a lot of run plays. I think they had 53 runs. I believe that's right. And for the most part, we did an outstanding job tackling. We really did good. I thought Latrell was high level tackling. I thought Kentrell Webb was high level tackling. So we did a good job of getting between the clubs, 2 arms around 2 legs, 2 arms around, torso, and getting them down to the ground. And we're gonna have to do a great job of their backs. Colorado's backs really, really run hard. They really run hard, and they're not real tall guys, but they've got good mass, and there's not a real good place to hit them. So you got to do a good job at wrapping these guys, gang tackling, and playing with leverage. We think so. Again, I'll talk to those guys today, but they were at practice today, running around and getting back into play. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Coach.